All right, welcome to another video tutorial. Today I want to focus on the diamonds that I freehanded on the 9 of diamonds Harlequin that I just finished, and I posted some pictures up of that recently. So what we're going to start with is a very dark purple to outline our diamonds. So we need a little bit of our Reaper Solid Black, and then a little bit of Hexed Lichen from Vallejo Game Color. We're going to darken down the purple and kind of sketch in our diamond. And for this, again, so you guys can see, I'm going to be using just a flat surface to demonstrate on. So I'll take our black and a little bit purple, add some water to the palette because both these paints are pretty thick. I want to lighten them up a little bit. So let's keep it fairly small and draw ourselves a little diamond here with our black and purple. And hopefully you guys can see this. I know the camera is zoomed in, so it'll give you a little more of a view. So what we want to do, just like when we're painting gems, is create kind of a fake light source. So our light's going to be coming in from the top and illuminating the bottom of the gem. So I guess we're kind of assuming that the back of the crystal or gem is flat. It doesn't have any shape to it because we can't see any shapes through the I gotta shake this up. Can't see any of the shapes through the facets. So we're gonna start working up our highlight with a little bit of Warlord purple. And see, that's a little thin. I'm gonna make sure we get some pigment. So what we're gonna do is follow along with our layering practice. Start adding a little bit of purple until we get to our base purple. And it's okay if you kind of color outside the line, because we're going to go back and put some gold trim on it. And then go to purple and make sure the camera's focusing. Then we want to take our purple, dilute it a little bit with our Warlord purple. Another step up. Sorry if my fingers got we got a lot of paint on my fingers today. I was airbrushing a ton of stuff for a commission, so I have the nice foul green thumb with a little bit of scorpion green and a lot of primer too. What we're doing is working this purple up, sort of like a gradient. As smooth a gradient as we can get until we get kind of a stark highlight at the bottom. I'm gonna keep along with the gradient and add some of the Arctic white, again from Vallejo. I use probably 80% Vallejo and then a decent toss in of other stuff. Of course, I'm a fan of the Citadel washes as well. So I use a lot of those, especially for commission painting and getting stuff out quickly. So for this layer, I'm going to start adding a little bit of detail to the edge of the diamond, just to give it a little bit of highlight. And I don't want to go all the way to white on the bottom, because if I go all the way to white, it doesn't look like the light's going through. It looks like the light's just coming out. And I want it to look like the light's going through. Now for here, I just grabbed a little bit of my Warlord and I thinned it down after I loaded my brush, and then I took it and I licked my brush to kind of thin down the amount of paint and basically use the spit as a medium. So now I got my gradient. I think I'm going to take the white and mix a little bit here with the Warlord. I'm going to draw my facet lines. So I need to make sure I don't have too much paint on the brush, because I want to pull a really fine line. And again, lick the brush a little bit to wet the paint, and then pull this really fine line. So I got a tiny little line that runs in between. So this is my guideline, and it is a part of the detail too. But I'm going to make those details pop out by highlighting them further here in a second. Again, I lick the brush to re-wet it instead of like reloading it, and then just keep pulling until it kind of activates, because it'll kind of dry on the surface of the brush, and it's almost like you're scrubbing off the dried paint until it activates again. And again, the helpful hint of pulling your brush toward you instead of trying to push across or up. you can pull a much straighter line if you turn your work and make it comfortable for you to actually work on it. Okay, so I just pushed that down just a little bit more because it's kind of coming loose from my back here. So now I have my bottom highlight where the bottom of my crystal kind of stops. And now I want to highlight these two facets as well, like maybe some lights coming out the edges. So I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm going to start a little bit higher on my palette. And I'm going to make sure my paint's pretty thin so that it doesn't give me a hard line when I apply it. So I'm just coloring in these two corners here, bringing it up a little bit. And I'll move over to the straight Warlord. Do the same thing, make sure my paint's fairly thin, because I don't want hard lines. I want to bring up the color and still have it blend, diffuse a little bit. Alright, continuing to step up the chain of colors. That's a useful part of the wet palette, so that it keeps all those colors you used previously active, so you don't have to try and remix. Because I know I cannot match colors for the life of me. It's really hard to do. Alright, so now I want to take this stark highlight, and this is okay to have a little bit of a line. Again, kind of wetting my brush with my tongue so that I can activate the paint. And adding these little edge highlights to the side of the facets of the little diamond here. I'm going to take that same color and kind of make a little T or cross in the middle for the high point. And see how that pops that out a little bit, and then cross it the other way. And I don't want to connect to this highlight and this highlight, so even if I have to pull it in just a little bit, I've got my facet highlight for my diamond here. And it's starting to take shape now. Starting to get a little more defined. I'm going to take this same color and hit the bottom of the diamond here. And then we can start our gold band. I'm not going to add the white highlights quite yet. So I go to my black, and on the model, I had already based the whole area in my background color, which was kind of a purpley mottled black that was stippled on in several layers to give me like a velveteen sort of appearance. And, you know, if you're painting on something like a shoulder pad or, you know, a Titan leg piece that gives you a lot of flat area, go ahead and do your background first. Backgrounds are easy to fix. The freehand's the hard part. Alright, so our diamond's a little more cut in here. So let's do the gold trim. So for this, the Mahogany from Model Air and the Deep Red from Reaper Master Series. The Deep Red, again, just helps the Mahogany coat a little bit faster, because the Mahogany, since it is an air color and it is a red, it's fairly thin. And it needs a little bit of help. So the Deep Red almost acts like a thickening agent for it. And I like the color too. I like how it comes up with the yellow. So that's one of the reasons I started using it. So for this trim, I'm just going to pull on the outside of the diamond. I'll leave a little bit of that black outline. I want to try and come right up to the shape. And turning my work as I go so that I can pull towards me instead of trying to fight the natural motion. And I don't care if I get outside the line a little bit. Let's see. And this step takes a little bit. You gotta let it dry and then another coat. Because the red coats so terribly. Alright, and to create another pseudo guideline here, I'm gonna take my black and I'm gonna cut in where I want my border to be for this diamond piece. And you can do this with a model too. Even if you already have the background, you can take your background color or your black background pattern, and you can kind of match the color. Make sure you just finish your freehand and then go back, and if you painted over too much of your background, you can go back and fix that later. Don't try and focus on too many things at one time. Just finish the task and then go back and work on the things that you feel like you need to improve. All right, so we have our mix here. We're gonna start working up the gold with the non-metallic gold base from Master Series. This paint comes out fairly heavy with medium, so again, a very light coating paint. So for this, I want to have a little bit of yellow at the top, my gradient to start down the sides here, and then at the bottom, I want my gradient to go again. So I want kind of dark here, a little lip, so it looks like the facet has some shape to it as well. So add yellow to my plant. All right, and then pull in my first highlight. This video is going to run a little bit longer than my usual ones because I'm doing so many things all at once. But at least that way I can show you guys that freehand isn't as intimidating as you think it is, and you can just do it in a few minutes, right? Now the benefit of having a black background here is this yellowy red that's on my palette. Even if I get it in the wrong spot, it's not really going to coat over it, so it gives me a little bit of room for error. And then here, again, moving my gradient down to this little line here, just to create the illusion that there's a shape. And you already kind of see it developing. And I'm going to do a little bit here. I'm actually probably just going to do a few layers up at this little top crest area, because it's going to be such a quick highlight, or it's not going to be very gradual or a build up. So you won't actually see that highlight. And then adding a little bit more yellow to my base color until I'm going to work myself all the way up to a base non-metallic Reaper yellow. And then I'll start adding my white from there. Alright, starting to get a little bit of shape. Keep adding yellow. It's kind of fun while you're painting to see each little gradual step, even though it's so minute, make a really big difference in what you're painting. I mean, even so much as like, when you're painting eyeballs or something, and you go in and you add a little white highlight at the end, and it's like, oh man, it looks like it's glossy now, because I just put that little bit of white in there. And it's the same with doing this this non-metallic. I'm going to add a little bit of my yellow here at the top. So we're starting to get that look. So now I just added pure yellow, so now I'm going to come in, add some white to my yellow. The white is really strong against this Reaper yellow. You can mix in like 1/4 of the volume and it seems like it really tones it up quickly. So be careful with how much white you add. And again, just continuing these gradients. Now I'm not thinning these paints or anything. These are just layers. And they're not a lot of layers either. They're just a few. I'm going to try and cut this line in up here, so make that a little bit of shape. The suggestion of shape. Alright, so now I want to add a lot more white. And I want to pull some lines. So I want these little facets to have some edges on them. So the upper edge, or what we would consider the upper edge, just pulling a little line across the bottom edge here, and then down at the point. So it's like it has a little lip. And then here on this side, maybe just halfway up. We'll see how it looks. There we go. Another little glint of light. And then these two here. Again, always rotate your piece so that it's easier for you to work on. That's why it's not a good idea to put your work on a stationary surface and then try and fight the natural movement of your body while you're hunkered down like really tight on a table that doesn't move. All right, pure white. Let's add some highlights. So for this guy, I kind of want to add 2 little dots here. So make sure I got a good paint flow, and I'm going to add a little tiny dot. Might lick the brush again to activate the paint. There we go, 1 dot. I don't think I need 2. This is a pretty small diamond. I think these are actually smaller than the ones I put on the model. Got 1 there. Want 1 here up at the peak. Might do like a little secondary one, kind of following the path of the light that's hitting the diamond here. And then maybe 1 right here at the bottom of the it's not a facet holder, little gem holder. There we go. I'm gonna cock that one out to the side a little bit. So if you do that, if you mess up, like I just did, go in, pull it back in a little bit. Probably have to use the pure yellow to do that. This yellow doesn't coat over white very well, so you gotta kind of build it up a little bit. But anyway, I'm not gonna fix that in any quick amount of time. But this is just to show you that painting freehand isn't super intimidating. You just gotta put the layers in. It's not even really a lot of time. You just gotta make sure that you keep building it up. Odds are that if you've ever attempted it before, you've probably done a pretty decent job, but just didn't finish it. It's all about taking that rough drawing and just refining it over time. And the more you get used to that, the quicker you'll get. But that's it for tonight. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and we'll see you guys next time.